So wasn't not for sure if I was going to post or do a video on this because a lot of people have already, right? But there's some points to be made about what happened with Donald Trump in Venezuela. Now, when Donald Trump kidnapped the leader of Venezuela, I concur that the leader of Venezuela was not a good person. He was probably, most definitely seemed like he was part of narcotics. I do not like drugs. If you saw some of my older posts on G+, you would find that if it was still around, I don't like drugs. I don't like drug dealers at all. So having said that, we still have laws in America. We're supposed to be a nation of laws, right? So when you ask MAGA about immigrants, they say, well, they broke the law. They shouldn't be put back, deported. They should go back, right? So they say that, right? Even though we know it's bullcrap and nobody's buying that lie. It's about racism. But here's the problem I have. If you were so concerned about an immigrant coming here, working hard, working at a farm, trying to provide a better life for his family, running from places like Venezuela, and you want him to go back to a country you say a leader is bad. You want him to go back to there, right? Now, here's the problem. You're saying it's about being illegal. Now, when I asked quite a few Trump supporters about this, quite a few, even some veterans here, who has the power to declare war in America? If I ask all the veterans, the same MAGA or the ones that were not veterans, MAGA regardless of status, who has the power to declare war? Universally, they all say Congress. What Donald Trump did is a declaration of war. He killed civilians too. Apparently, he killed over 20 Cubans doing all this. Now he's starting to take over Cuba. So all you people say, well, we can't have people breaking the laws in this country. Where were you when Donald Trump broke the law? You guys are ranting and raving. Well, it was more good than bad. The question is, who has the power to declare war in America? Does Donald Trump have the authority to override Congress? And some of you say, well, Congress is useless. Republicans are in charge of Congress, and they've been allowing Donald Trump to get everything that he wants. They've been lying for him. They've been sticking up for him. Hell, they're even covering for all his child predatory stuff, which he has a long history of, even before Epstein, right? So, before Epstein, he already was running, beauty pageants, different type of pageants. And he was caught on mic saying, yeah, I just walk right in. Some of these girls are underage. Lucky I wasn't one of the fathers he was doing that to. Apparently, none of these girls had fathers. But he has a long history of doing this to underage girls. But you MAGA don't seem to care. Some of you flat out on mic said, yeah, he probably did, but I don't care. Just like some of you have pointed out before, have lost your family business, lost your restaurants, lost your job at the factory. You're not getting much work as you used to because of Trump. Then when you ask, do you still support Trump? Your first answer is, well, given the candidates that won. One guy actually said this. Well, given the candidates that were running against each other, I'd probably still vote for Trump, even though he's losing his house, his car, he's already lost his family business. That's the kind of idiocracy that we have in America, right? So now Trump is still talking about Greenland. Well, Greenland's run by Denmark. European country, which Europe, NATO, North American Treaty Association, right? Organization, North American Treaty Organization, NATO, right? So to defriend all your enemies, to befriend nations that were once our friends and make them seem like our enemies, like Canada. I heard some Trump supporters, even in the comment sections of some of YouTube, was talking about two Canadians. Some Canadians say, I never want to go to America or vacation here again. Some Trump supporters flat out said, good, don't come. They don't care. They don't care that the tourism industry has collapsed. They don't care that we no longer have allies. But we have a president who said, we'll call him president, he's more like a dictator, who said that there wouldn't be any wars if I was president. Well, he's starting a war now, and now he wants a war with Denmark, Greenland. Which, by the way, Europe... How are we going to start a war with Europe if we ain't got no allies to begin with? Now I heard they're starting proceedings against Mark Kelly because he says don't follow illegal orders. There's nothing wrong with that. So Pete Hegseth, right, started proceedings against him to try to get his rank reduced for his whatever. So, if you are in charge, Pete Hegseth, and you're mad that somebody says don't follow illegal orders and you want to take some kind of action against him in court, it's like saying, well, soldiers should follow illegal orders. That's the message that you're sending out. He didn't say nothing wrong. So whatever court decides all this, it just shows that the military has become corrupt, that people are not being appointed because they're the best position, but because they're yes men for Donald Trump. That's what it's starting to look like. He's already tried to flood American courts with his own people, and it's not really working out too well. Some of his own lawyers, they had to quit. Some of them weren't really lawyers. So things don't always work out, but you still find YouTube channels say, well, Donald Trump's winning. Donald Trump's winning. No, he's not. Then he says for that girl that did win the Nobel Peace Prize, well, she really doesn't have the support of the Venezuelan people. But you know damn well you don't like her because she won a Nobel Peace Prize and you don't, because you're that childish and petty. Trump supporters know this too. See, a lot of Trump supporters will tell you they're constitutionists, but when you hear that, what they mean is Second Amendment only. They don't even know how many amendments there are. They'd have to look if they trust their phone to see how many amendments there are. They've never even read the Constitution, but they say their Constitution is only. But if you give them a constitutional exam, they'd fail. They don't know what the Constitution is. They just know the Second Amendment. That's what they mean, right? So what's the Constitution? What's the America's law say about who has a right to declaration of war? The very same people that hate these immigrants say it's about being, breaking the laws. This very same people also broke the law on January 6th. So MAGA has already established themselves as the lawbreakers, the political party of lawbreakers now. Because you support a pedophile in office who's not once but a couple of times has already bragged about it, got caught with it, won't release the files of him. He thinks by releasing Bill Clinton pictures that somehow is going to make Democrats mad. No, Democrats say flat out, whoever was responsible and did this to children need to be locked up. They'll tell you lock Clinton up right with Trump. There's a reason why Democrats didn't vote for the Clintons, because we didn't trust her enough because of all this corruption. See, it's a little bit more party of integrity than what Republicans have right now, which is pretty much putting knee pads on, putting their lipstick on, saying, come here, Mr. President. That's what they're doing. So once again, I'll ask you, who has the power to call for war in Congress? Who has the power to call for war? Congress. Don't get me wrong, Maduro is a bad person, but there was already instant repercussions of what he did. North Korea fired missiles toward Japan. North Korea is already under constant threat. Now China's ramped up their aggression here in the China Sea. And if there's any good to speak of any of this, complete overall picture, if there's anything to be learned, that we know that the Chinese air control systems now are flawed. Right? They didn't pick up on any of the helicopters and the planes. I watched the program, how they did all this, so that we know that the Chinese equipment doesn't work. But the Philippines also proved that the Chinese Coast Guard ships ain't built very well either. I mean, they just melt out of a slightest little pressure. They fold under. So now we're going to have more aggression here in the Chinese-Philippine Sea because of Trump. And apparently, I guess, I don't know if it's true or not. I've read some say yes, some say no. I can't find any legitimate sources, but Trump's passport's been canceled for China. Oh, man. It's just, you can't be going around talking bad about allies that don't do anything to America, that have just been great neighbors, man. Greenland's a great neighbor. They already allow a military base there. What strategic more could we possibly have? They already said, yeah, come build a military base. The people of Greenland and Denmark are very friendly, man. You're going to trash talk them. You're going to trash talk Canada. You're going to trash talk European countries. And those are the greatest allies America has. And you're going to turn your back on them, MAGA just as, yeah, we could do everything by ourselves, man. It's not working out by ourselves. You deported everybody that actually worked in this country because you said they're taking American jobs. But no MAGA down there is making bricks right now. Very few of them. Very few carpenters that did have a job. They got less hours now because there's just not enough to go around. Housings are being canceled. In Florida, apparently, there's over 2 million homes for sale. Nobody's going to move to Florida because of insurance. You see, since Donald Trump took office, his one claim to fame is not letting women play sports. Not letting men play in women's sports, mind you. Most people agree that shouldn't happen, right? Now, if you want to be If you were born a man, you want to pretend to be a woman, go around, other people want to do it, that's fine. But you shouldn't play in women's sports. I can agree with that. Most people logically would agree with this. Most people understand male, female, X, 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 Y. Okay? Having said that, that's the only thing he's done since he's been a president. He hasn't lowered groceries, hasn't lowered gas. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything for health insurance. The Republicans didn't want to extend Obamacare subsidies because of the word Obama. Just like Kennedy. He only wanted to... See, there's another one. There was somebody who told me this once and had to look it up because during the Bush era, right, the White House needed a complete overhaul. So some group went in there and they did an estimate. They said, yeah, this needs done, this needs done. Some security needs upgraded. This needs painted. Some of these walls are going to have to be rebuilt because of the age. And it's like that for any house. You're going to have constant maintenance, right? So when Obama became president, well, that actually happened. But what Obama didn't do was build a complete new wing. He didn't tear up no rose garden. But because it was Kennedy's wife, the Kennedy, the garden, Trump tore it all up. Tore it all up. And people were okay with this. Well, it turns out most people ain't, because when Trump put his name on a Kennedy Center, when Kennedy Center had to change their bylaws, from what I was reading, to get his name up there, a lot of artists said, no, we're done. And this is one of the first years that the programs were canceled because people don't want to come because it's corrupt. Turns out most people don't want to be involved in that kind of corruption. You can't just go throwing your name on stuff and expect people to love it. You can't go around claiming a Nobel Peace Prize and kill 22 Cubans in a raid. You see, the problem is, if you go back to how America got started, there was 1 out of 3 Americans told the English king we had enough, and they started a revolutionary war, right? Well, that was a problem in Venezuela. There wasn't enough people standing up to his corruption. Well, in Iran, we're finding out they had enough of the corruption going on over there, and they're starting to revolt. They're tired of it. They're tired of their own leadership. And when I watch YouTube channels, and they swear they go to Iran, they're meeting some of their friendliest people around, right? It's very different than their government. And a lot of people understand there's a difference between the people and the government. Except for America, when it comes to MAGA, the santanic cult that worships Donald Trump. Right? The same cult that says they're Christians, but somehow puts no God before Jesus. They put Trump before Jesus, right? Especially when we're the MAGA hat. It's gotten out of hand in America. They cling onto their stupidity. They cling onto their lies. And nobody believes their lies, but they still try to reiterate it, right? So they're prosecuting people that disagree with them. They try to speak out. They're retaliatory. They're using the justice systems for his own political gain. But then you got the head of the Congress, that little Smith, with the little guy. He sat there and said stuff about what Democrats did in the past, which wasn't true. But he actually described what their current Republican Party was doing, right, with the Justice Department. And it's kind of sick. So right now, America doesn't have 3 equal branches of government, thanks to MAGA, the insurrectionists, the lawlessness, the lawbreakers, that is MAGA, that support the lawbreaking, that support the pedophilia. That's who MAGA is now. When you see that MAGA hat on, you got to protect your children. Keep them away from MAGA, in all honesty. Because if you're still wearing that MAGA hat on after you know what Trump is doing and you don't care, you shouldn't be around kids. That MAGA hat is a pedophilia hat now. That's exactly what that is. When you sit there and say Trump is winning, you support pedophilia. Now you support open wars, but one of the reasons why you voted for Trump is because he promised no wars. Right? And one of the funniest thing is, there's an old text about Obama's first term, when Obama's numbers got a little bit low a couple of times. And Trump said in one of his tweets, he said, oh, watch now that Obama's numbers are low. He's going to bomb Syria or he's going to bomb Iran. Trump's numbers are low. Guess what he did, right? Just like what Trump said, oh, look, Obama's golfing, or, oh, look, so-and-so's golfing. He's done nothing but golf as president. But some of you are like, well, it was funny, is there's this pro-MAGA YouTube channel show Trump and a couple of his head leaders, they're walking and look all serious. And they're like, yeah, that's the look of getting business done. But when you ask them what business did they get done, they can't answer. They can't answer. Some of them get mad. They go way off on different topics. And, just like when he kidnapped the leader of South America just now, Venezuela, I concur. He wasn't a good person, but they still can't comprehend what Trump did was wrong, and they don't care. They'll say, well, when so-and-so did it, no, it wasn't right for anybody to do it, and for any kind of leader. Now Trump is talking about, you know what? I'm going to kidnap the Cuban leader now, right? So Trump is just going around. It's just, he doesn't understand there's repercussions and stuff. He doesn't understand there's repercussions of history of people doing this, and it's never worked out. He doesn't understand the Lord Jesus has the final authority of everything. And what the Bible says, this is what's supposed to be right. This is the path that you follow. And when Trump's not doing that kind of path, but you're still following Trump and not Jesus, there's going to be repercussions. I suggest some of you read Revelations in a time of sorrows and how stuff gets started, because you're going to say, oh, wow, some of that sounds very familiar today. But then again, MAGA can't read. It turns out the person that did teach him to read was an illegal immigrant, and he got deported, I guess. But that's MAGA. MAGA is full of criminals now. It's a shame.